go. All right, look at the more. It's Chase Moore checking in with the Michigan Panthers. We just got that dub with the goose egg. Let's go Panthers, baby.
You know, it's 3 underscore make plays with you. Out here, protect the stadium. Just got a big dub against the New Orleans Little Waves or whatever. Need y'all back out here next Saturday. Fill out the stadium. Coming with another W for the great city of Birmingham. Just come back out, support. We're going to get that dub for y'all. Let's ride.
Feeling good. You know, get a little dub, team win. How's for you, Coach Haley?
Hooray! 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 Hooray!
What is up, my friends, and welcome to the 9th edition of the USFL Week in Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of USFL News Hub. But on this week's show, we go through what happened this past week. We got the Week 3 recap, plus our Week 4 picks, DFS, and what's going on with the cigarette thing. We'll get into all that. Relax, it's not that big of a deal. What's up, my friends? If you want to be part of the show, it's very simple. Email us at podcast@USFL News Hub with your thoughts, or record an MP3 or video on your phone. We'll play it on next week's show. It's simple. If you want to go old school, you can just leave a voicemail, 888-430-7692, extension 5. That's extension 5. Or you could just record something on your phone. Whether you don't have to look at your face, you just record on your phone. Just send us the email, podcast@USFLnewshub.com. Leave us a review, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Audible, Player FM, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Leave us a review. USFL Week in Review. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate that as well. And you can watch USFL Week in Review live at 9 p.m. Eastern every Monday on the YouTube, Twitter, and on the Facebooks. There you heard all the players this week. My Tampa Bay Bandits got the victory. Very happy. Good games this week. I had no problem with any of the games. You know, some of the quarterback play was meh at times. Special teams is looking better. Overall, it was fun. Let us know what you think in the comments. We are on the Facebook chat and YouTube chat. So let us know what you think in the comments. What do you think about this past week? So we'll get into the news. We'll get into the score. But, so what happened this past week is probably what you're asking. So the Tampa Bay Bandits, my Tampa Bay Bandits, come from behind and beat the Houston Gamblers. Now they're 2-1, and the Gamblers are 1-2, 27-26. The Birmingham Stallions, this was my this is the game of the week, 22-13 over the Nolens Breakers. I thought the Breakers were the team to beat. The Stallions are the team to beat. They're 3-0. Breakers are 2-1. It would be good for the league to have a team run the table, because that would just make if the Birmingham Stallions were undefeated going into the playoffs, that would build a lot of excitement around the league. Can they run the table? Can they go undefeated? Can they lose all the games? Pittsburgh Maulers 0-3. He didn't even score at all. Michigan Panthers get their first win under Coach Jeff Fisher, 24-0 in that one. New Jersey Generals got the win, 2-1. I thought the Stars would take this one, 24-16. Our man Brian Scott out with an injury. That kind of deflated the sales of the Stars, and the Generals pick up the win. They look good. So you got the Generals of Bandits at 2-1, the Stallions at 3-0, and Breakers at 2-1, and then everybody else underneath them. So still wide open. This is, we're going to get to the point, because there's only 8 games in the season, where it's going to be like, all right, you guys need to get your act together. I mean, if Pittsburgh Maulers lose this week, they're basically mathematically eliminated, because the best they could do is 4-4. They're basically out of it. They need to go on a run now. Otherwise, they're eliminated, and they will be the worst team in the league. We'll see if Kirby Wilson returns. We'll have to see all that. I assume it's a couple-year contract, that they're not going to terminate any of that kind of stuff. So we'll get into the news, then we'll get into my picks for next week, and then we'll get into your social media stuff. So without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the USFL.
Is he really smoking at practice?
Everybody, I know a lot of y'all wondering where the cigarette comes from. Well, listen, I do not smoke cigarettes. First and foremost, do not smoke cigarettes.
But this cigarette is a prop cigarette. It's not real, but it's an attitude. This is a symbolism of attitude. It's the attitude I come out here on this football field. It's time to work today.
So there you have it. Reggie Northrup, linebacker for the Houston Roughnecks, or Houston Gamblers, fantastic linebacker. So a video was posted on of course, if the USFL's TikTok account is putting it on there, you know they're not trying to hide it. Well, this video went viral after people saw a cigarette in a player's mouth during practice. So the USFL posted the video on their TikTok account that spread throughout social media Friday that included Houston Gamblers linebacker Reggie Northrup going through drills with a fake cigarette. This went viral everywhere. Almost 1 million people have viewed the video already at the time of this. This is probably more than 1 million. Many thought that it was a real cigarette, which caused some to question the decision. Northrup had to go on his Twitter page to explain that the cigarette is fake and that is about an attitude mindset. It first started with a post showing a screenshot of the movie The Longest Yard with a player holding a cigarette in his mouth during the game. He posted this on Twitter. It's about attitude. Okay, cool. I like it. He would post again shortly afterwards to explain why he had the fake cigarette in his mouth and what it meant. He said, the cig represents the attitude. Pull up the full thing here. The cigarette, it's a fake cigarette, guys. LMAO. I would never smoke cigarettes. The cig represents the attitude that I hit the field with, like the old school ballers in the 60s and 70s, where they were some of the toughest, meanest SOBs on the field, making plays after dragging a whole cigarette. True. P.S. You can buy these from Spencer's in your local mall. There you have it. So people were freaking out, thinking that he was actually smoking a cigarette. He was not. Northrup is third on the team in tackles with 10.5 tackles at the time that this was written, before the Saturday game. 1 pass deflection, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 defensive touchdown. Northrup played, of course, Houston. They played the Tampa Bay Bandits this past weekend. Even Pat McAfee was like, what the heck is this going on with the player with the cigarette in his mouth? Check out the video there. It's pretty funny. So, this is another thing, that getting to know the players, getting to know the league, people are a lot like, I don't know the players. But now well, Devon Smith is out, but now you know of Reggie Northrup, who is a great player in the league. And this was all just kind of a joke, having some attitude out there and having some fun. And clearly, that the television cameras will be talking to him next week after this fake cigarette made quite a stir in the football world heading into week 3 of the USFL season.
This is Mike Pereira, head of officiating for the USFL. I hope you have enjoyed the access to the field that we have given you in the USFL. Drones, sky cams, players with helmets, with cameras, microphones everywhere, handhelds into the huddle. We want this game to be enjoyable, and we told the players have fun with it. But in the case of Antonio Reed of the Tampa Bay Bandits, who actually sat on the head of an opponent who was down on the ground, that's totally disrespectful to his opponent and the game. And we want you to know that Antonio has been suspended for this upcoming weekend's game. We've told the officials, try to manage the game without throwing penalty flags. And we still want them to do that. But in the area of egregiousness, when it comes to taunting, going forward, we want these acts called. This is the USFL, united by football.
So there you heard from head of officiating Mike Pereira talking about taunting and Bandits. Antonio Reed gets the designation as the first player suspended. So the USFL head of officiating Mike Pereira put out the following video address talking about the excessive taunting and he addressed it in the video. We have the quote there. So during last 2 weeks ago, week 2, game between the Allison Breakers and Tampa Bay Bandits, safety Antonio Reed sat on a player's head after making a block, which then went viral. So this also went viral, where you could see him sitting on the guy's head. You could see the video there. Reed will now become the first player suspended in the new USFL 2.0 era. No word on who'll be taking his place, who took his place this weekend, whether or not he returns. But Antonio Reed suspended for sitting on a player's head. Mike Pereira addressed the situation, and now we move on. USFL Week 3 power rankings from our own Matt Lyons. The Birmingham Stallions are now your number 1 team. They're up from 3 last week. They are the undefeated team. If they go 4-0 and Pittsburgh Maulers go 0-4, I think it would be a fantastic thing for the league to have Birmingham Stallions go undefeated for the season. They have a great linebacking core and Scooby Wright and good offensive play. Well, we'll see about Jamar Smith, what his deal is, but they're winning and they are undefeated. So big wins over the New Orleans Breakers, which I thought was going to be a different type of game. Jamar Smith didn't have the best day, but he did enough to help his team win, ending the game having 15 of 38, 197 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception, and ran the ball 8 times for 50 yards, 59 yards. Running back CJ Marvell, subpar on the ground, 16 carries, 30 for. I mean, remember, New Orleans Breakers has got a great defense. This is the reason why I think Breakers quarterback Kyle Slaughter is hurt, and he has not been able to run as much as he used to. So I think that's kind of playing a factor in the Breakers' play, is that he's not 100%. So we will see if how the Birmingham Stallions will do here on out. But the New Orleans Breakers, they're at number 2. No question about that, down from 1. They lost. Slaughter is the same thing. He had decent numbers, but took a step back. I think it's because he's got some type of groin injury. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. Hopefully he gets better. Number 3, yes, my Tampa Bay Bandits move up from 4 to 3. They're at 3. Looked a lot better this week than last week, but I think it looks like that the Birmingham Stallions and New Orleans Breakers are the class that they're the kind of tier A. Bandits are in that tier B. They looked a lot better. It was a close game. Close game, came down to the end, but they got the victory. Houston Gamblers, I think, are definitely a good team. They have the best running back in the league, in my opinion. They move up from last week from 5 to 4. They are looking better there. Even Clayton Thorson, who some people thought would be terrible, he's doing pretty well. 15 to 24, 240 yards throwing, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Mark Thompson continues to highlight the Houston's offense. 24 carries, 147 yards, and 1 touchdown. Good wide receivers, I think, with Reggie Northbrook. Will Likely is a great one. Defensive end Chris Odom. They have a bunch of good players on the defensive side. So I think the Gamblers are that kind of second-tier teams in the USFL. Jersey Generals, they were down all the way from 7. They moved up to 5. Luis Perez and DeAndre Johnson kind of going that back and forth kind of thing, the 2 quarterback system. Not sure I'm loving that. We'll see how that goes for their season there. Number 6, Philadelphia Stars, all the way down. They were at 3, went all the way down to 6. We thought that they would maybe be that tier 1 team, but they look like they should be a tier 2 team. Like Brian Scott gets hurt, suffered a knee injury in the first half. Case Cookus took over the entire second half. He played well in relief of Scott, but couldn't get the job done when the game was on the line. Scott was 9 of 13, 84 yards and a touchdown. Cookus was 13 of 20, 140 and a touchdown. Struggles in the run game continue for Philly, with Paul Terry taking only 6 carries for 17 yards as their leading rusher. So that's kind of where they're at. Michigan Panthers get off the snide. They got their first win. Still, like Paxton Lynch got his first start, came out there, but then suffered an ankle injury, took him out early. Shea Patterson played the majority of the game. Before he was out, Lynch was 3 of 8, 23 yards, run the ball twice for 21 and a touchdown. In relief, Patterson was 8 of 17 and 49 yards. Running back Reggie Corbin, Steve Scott led the grounding attack for the Panthers. Corbin, 20 carries, 133 yards. Scott, 13 times, 54 yards. So rushing really helped them. 24-0. They took care of business. And, of course, the bottom of the list that should most likely stay here for the rest of the season, Pittsburgh Maulers getting shut out by the Michigan Panthers. It's not like they got shut out by a tier 1 team. They got a shutout by a lower tier team that's ranked 7th. Kirby Wilson's lack of play calling experience was exposed once again, with no sign of any promise shown in last week's matchup. The quarterbacks saw some action against the Panthers, but neither had much success. Josh Love ended the game 10 of 19, 83 yards. Kyle Laletta, their number one guy, 9 of 12, 42 yards, also run the ball for 7 yards. Mondre London, Garrett Grosnick led the ground attack, but neither could find the end zone. London ended with 10 rushes for 68, 4 catches, while Grosnick, 10 carries for 28 yards. We will see. So there's your rankings for this week, my friends, and this helps you in the betting. Stallions at number 1. New Orleans Breakers at number 2. Tampa Bay Bandits, my team, number 3. Number 4, Houston Gamblers. Number 5, New Jersey Generals. They could maybe move up. Stars at 6. Hopefully we'll see more about Brian Scott's knee injury going on during the week. Michigan Panthers at 7. And then at the bottom of the pit, Pittsburgh Maulers. They're at number 8. Maybe they could stay there the whole season. What do you think? Leave us a comment on what you think the power rankings are for this week. Despite the ratings drop, Fox Marketing Executive Vice President assures crowds exceeding expectation. This is important because people are seeing the league. They're saying there's not enough crowds. This isn't going to work. This is not what the plan is. Remember, this is a slow thing. This isn't like this is our best. We're going to spend all this money on this league. This is a slow build. They've been talking about this and preaching this over and over again. So week 1 saw the USFL saw a ratings win for Fox and its network partner NBC, and the USFL pulling in millions of viewers during the inaugural weekend. However, week 2 saw significantly less eyeballs drawn from the league's opening weekend. The USFL saw approximately a 57% drop in viewership across 4 games in week 2 versus week 1. For comparison with other spring leagues, the XFL saw a 34% drop from week 1 to week 2. AAF saw a 69% dip in their week 1 to week 2 audience. All leagues hosted 4 games each weekend. TV ratings are a much discussed aspect of spring football leagues. They are a barometer of how sustainable the product is and are inevitable compared with competing sports events, including NBA, NHL, MLB, F1, and MLS. In an extensive thread posted to his Twitter profile, Fox Executive Vice President of Marketing Robert Gottlieb made it clear that the ratings drop or the sparse crowds are not indicative of decreased interest in the league. To the contrary, according to Gottlieb, the USFL and specifically the Birmingham Stallions are outperforming expectations. Quote, some perspective on the launch of the USFL and how the season is playing out to date. As many have noted, this has been being built for the long term. The hub model and fiscal responsibility at the outset are key factors in building a league that will last. We've heard about this. Gottlieb went on to highlight Birmingham's infatuation with the Stallions as a mark of the league's success, though there appeared to be less individuals in their Week 2 matchup with the Houston Gamblers compared to their Week 1 game against the Jersey Generals. He said, we expected to have modest fan turnout for Birmingham Stallions games. So far, the support for the Stallions has exceeded expectations. If you're in the area, come to a game. You'll feel the rush and growing energy in Birmingham for this team. This city is falling in love with this team. Now, the numbers were, the other XFL teams, but you got to think, I don't know. $10 tickets, kids get in for free. The stadium can seat 47,000. It's not like, the St. Louis Battlehawks when they were coming on and, they tried to open more and get more and more people were coming. So I'm not sure about that. The crowds are even more thinned out for non-Stallions matches to the point where there is little presence in the stands at all. Gottlieb did express hope for Birmingham residents to appear at more games, but did relent that this is more of a wish than a solid expectation. Quote, we knew games without the home team would likely have very few fans attending. To date, that's played out as expected for a brand new league. We're hopeful more and more Birmingham residents will come out to non-Stallion games as we move forward, but we have realistic expectations. Gottlieb is predictably positive in his assessment of the Birmingham citizens partaking in the USFL thus far. This is said despite the team's capacity being able to play in a 41,000-seat venue and have yet to even fill it to half capacity. Alternative football leagues are no strangers to similar ratings drops when attempting to build clout with a new audience. One accomplishment, the USFL will attempt to hold over the XFL 2.0 and AAF is a full season regardless of viewership fluctuation. Weeks 3 ratings and beyond will continue to be monitored and shed light and the USFL's continued exposure and presence among casual and football-minded viewers. So basically, I mean, this is a long thread that he put out. You know, that this is kind of where they expected to be. They didn't expect to see sellout crowds for every single game. People who criticize the league because when the Birmingham Stallions aren't playing, like this is a joke and this sucks. I knew that, and I'm not a Fox Sports executive. I knew there wasn't going to be anybody for these games when their home team wasn't playing. I have said from the beginning, I think the best approach for season 2. That's my fear of season 2 and beyond, because if you're not going to get people footing the bill for these home teams and these home leagues, and plus Birmingham is not an easy, I have a feeling they will be in a hub situation next year. If they do this again next year with the same setup, then I think it's kind of a problem. I think what they have to do next year, I don't think these teams will move into the home markets next year. What they would have to do is at least have one game where Houston plays in Houston, New Jersey plays in New Jersey. You have to do at least one game next year. Because this is, you know, they're around where they expected things to be. But again, if you really want to generate that buzz and interest, you need to have one game in their home stadium. Just one for next year. You can't do this for 3 years in a row of just having all their games playing in Birmingham, because it's going to come to a point where Birmingham goes undefeated. Everybody's going to say, oh, well, because they have all home games. But this is the plan for year 1. Everything is going according to plan. No need to fret now. You just have to kind of be patient and see what year 2 really brings, because this is the way it's going to be definitely for year 1. Congrats to the USFL. They reached 1 million followers on their social media stuff. So after 2 weeks in the regular season, the new United States football, notice they call it new, announced that its social media accounts have reached more than 1 million followers. Quote, football fans are the USFL's top priority, so passing 1 million followers on our social media accounts shows that our brand of football is resonating around the world, said Edward Hartman, USFL Executive Vice President of Business Operations. Our social media team has done an amazing job to grow and engage a passionate USFL community, and will continue to give our fans unprecedented access via social and other mediums in order to provide the best possible football. After achieving 500,000 followers in the preseason ahead of the inaugural season kickoff on April 16th, USFL social media accounts grew an additional 500,000 followers first 2 weeks of play, reaching the new 1,022,000 count. Those are the first 2 weeks. The league saw 37 million views across all platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Continuing to grow. You want to just keep going on the positive up. It's just one of those things that if you're a fan of these leagues, you're leery if it's, you know, you don't want to put your heart and soul in it, because we just lost AAF and XFL, even though, you know, one was financial thing, and the guy who was the financial backer is now indicted for $600 million crypto fraud. And then the XFL, of course, you know what happened to shut them down. It's the business model of the USFL. It's this slow build. We're just going to have to see how it plays out. But so far, 1 million social media followers is a good sign, my friends. Birmingham Stallions football convert Brandon Aubrey is a bona fide football player. So Birmingham took a swing at a kicker in the USFL draft, selecting former MLS defender and Notre Dame soccer standout Brandon Aubrey. Though he had experience as a pro athlete, he'd only just made the jump to football, and the USFL is his first opportunity on the gridiron. His big leg and training with longtime NFL kicker John Carney made him an attractive prospect, and the gamble appears to pay off early. Last week's games not only saw him went 2 for 2 for field goals, 3 for 3 for extra points for 9 points in the 33-28 win. He also proved his mettle as a football guy, absolutely lit up gamblers Isaiah Zuber on a kick return. Keep in mind, this is likely his first hit in the football game. Guy's a natural. Love to see that kind of last line effort from a kicker and coverage. The Stallions coaches are fired up about Aubrey's performance in the first 2 weeks in the league that's been plagued by poor kicking. Aubrey is unaffected. In fact, he's perfect in 2 weeks. I'm not sure how he did this week. I think he did good as well. So, Brett, did you know that Brandon Aubrey, the kicker of the Birmingham Stallions, never played football before? This is his first time playing football, but he did play in the MLS. Kudos to him. A lot of questions about this whole USFL NFT stuff. So we actually wrote, I did, a step-by-step instructions of how to get involved with the USFL NFT stuff. So if you're a football fan, you probably heard of crypto. You know names like Bitcoin and Dogecoin. As a football fan, you're probably interested in collectibles around your favorite league or team. Things like jerseys, autographs, hats, and even football cards are collectibles we are accustomed to as fans. Over the last year or two, something called NFTs has recently hit the market. There have been a lot of things written about them with little understanding of how they really powerful they are. An NFT is a digital collectible that can do more than any collectible you've ever owned. NFT stands for non-fungible token. The non-fungible part means it is one of a kind, and token relates to the Ethereum blockchain. Ethereum is another crypto, but it's different in that it has utility beyond a store of value like Bitcoin or Doge. You can do things with it, like create NFTs. You can't do that with Bitcoin or Dogecoin. So to get started with USFL NFTs, we've got a little technical piece out of the way. Let's get to how this relates to the USFL and how fans can get involved. The first thing you need to do is to head over to usfl.fans. That is the official NFT page of the USFL. There you can join their Discord to get more information and answer any questions you might have when it comes to the NFTs. This is what the page looks like. This is where you join the committee. This is where fans can claim a USFL Mint Pass and unlock future NFT drops and special events. There was one, and I was able to get one. So for anyone getting involved with crypto, first, it's best to create an account somewhere. This is kind of your on-ramp to the crypto world. We recommend creating an account with Coinbase. It is the easiest and most trusted brand. Next, you want to connect your Coinbase wallet to OpenSea.io. So OpenSea is the most popular place for NFTs and is used by the USFL. They also talk about Railbull as well. So to recap, Coinbase is your wallet. OpenSea is the marketplace. Once you have them both connected, you're ready to go. You can also use something called MetaMask. You can download it as a browser extension in Google Chrome or as a mobile app on your phone. MetaMask, it will be your wallet just like Coinbase. But to keep it simple, use Coinbase. MetaMask is a little bit more advanced. Basically, your wallet is your login to OpenSea. So your wallet is your login to OpenSea. That's kind of how this stuff works. Then what will happen is now that you have your wallet and an OpenSea account already, you will have to wait for the next USFL NFT drop. When they are available, you can sign up, of course, on the USFL.fan site. You will link the wallet address from your Coinbase account to the NFT drop. The USFL will send the drop to the wallet, and you'll be able to see it on your OpenSea account. Keep checking USFL.fans on the Discord or their Discord for when the next one is available. Each drop only has a limited number of spots. So here's what it looks like on your OpenSea account. It's free, so you don't need to buy anything. There'll be more coming, this USFL Fan Pass in the coming days. You'll be able to use your free Fan Pass to trade it in for a team token. So once you get the Fan Pass, which is for free, this kind of allows you to become one of the 2,500 people to then purchase, I believe, a team. You would get a team token. Whether the team token is free or you get to purchase it, that part I'm not sure. The passes are going anywhere from around $140 on Ethereum to sell it. So even if you got it for free and you wanted to sell it, you can sell it online if you wanted to. So there's nothing to do right now other than to get your account set up. They're not doing any kind of token or any more fan passes at this time. I think there was a couple of issues that they were trying to fix. But why do you want this stuff? Well, why get a USFL NFT? So the USFL Fan Pass allows you to redeem the first ever USFL team token. Getting this token means you have secured future access to USFL NFTs, airdrops. Airdrops is when they basically drop and give you money. It's like, hey, we're just going to do a random airdrop. Anybody who has these NFTs, we're just going to give everybody, I don't know, $100, $50, $20, whatever it is. And it just goes right into your account and that's it. And you can spend it. That's what airdrops are to me. And that's what other people do when it comes to NFTs. Special behind the scenes access. It will get you an IRL, in real life utility throughout the first USFL season in Birmingham at Protective Stadium. They have talked about this kind of IRL in real life thing where if you have an NFT and you go to the game, you can unlock things, almost like kind of like Pokemon Go. Remember that game where you kind of like use your NFTs to get like real life things or collect things at Birmingham Protective Stadium. So only team token holders will get access to USFL season and 2022 playoff ticket giveaways. So you can get free tickets, a virtual and IRL player / coach meet and greets post game. So that means virtual. So you can do player coach meet and greets, on Zoom or something like that, or in real life. You can show your NFT and then get access to a meet and greet post game, exclusive behind the scenes content, access to their owners lounge and the USFL Discord, where you can be one of the first to know all things about the USFL, special events, future drops, playoff NFTs, that kind of thing. Exclusive giveaways for limited edition merchandise signed by your favorite USFL players as well. So this is what it gets you. So check back on this page, check back with USFL News Hub, as when this stuff becomes available, we will be able to kind of tell you more about what's going on in the step-by-step process to how to do it. But first, I would recommend creating yourself a Coinbase account. There's a link in this article to create yourself and get to Coinbase. Then you're going to want to keep an eye on USFL.fans when they announce any kind of things going on there. And then using your Coinbase account, open yourself up an OpenSea account, and you're ready to go and then be involved with the USFL's NFTs. A lot of fun stuff coming from the USFL. All right, we'll take a commercial break and be right back with your social media stuff right after this. Stay tuned, my friends.
Coming up this week on the Markcast, the XFL is hemorrhaging, leaking information. They're trying to put the genie back in the bottle, but I think some of this stuff is spilling out. Happy to talk about it on the podcast. We're talking the Vegas XFL, new team expansion, however you want to look at that. XFL in Seattle, and lots more. And then this is the long-awaited, long-promised Amar Doman on the Markcast. We are talking 30 minutes with America's CFL team, the BC Lions owner. Don't miss it.
You got to put some wins on the board as well. And we've had some tough years. So certainly that's been part of the, the problem out here, but we're really excited about going forward. The team we have, the coaching staff, and there's a lot of continuity to it. And I think that's going to deliver some dividends for the team. And I'm busy cheerleading the heck out of this team in the background and investing in it.
Then we're also joined by a longtime friend of the show, Kevin Kugler, talking all about the Fox broadcast aspect side of the USFL. Kevin's going to be in the booth again this weekend for the USFL. Lots of insights there.
Anytime you can be on the bottom floor, the ground floor of something that's starting out like the USFL is with Fox this year, you're always kind of jazzed by that. And again, I love football. I love it in the fall. I love it in the spring. I think it's a great opportunity.
And then we're breaking down all the CFL rule changes, talking USFL TV ratings, if we want to walk down that path. That's a little tenuous right now. Lots of other stuff with Evan. Really excited to have him.
June Jones put in his Twitter bio that he was going to be the offensive coordinator in the XFL under Jim Haslett for a team in Seattle. So obviously there's a lot to unpack there. And he had that up for maybe half an hour and then took it down once word started to get around that, maybe he wasn't supposed to put that out there yet.
And then even with all our BC Lions talk, don't think I forgot to give Edmonton Elks a little bit of love. We have Jake Serezna from their team joining us on the show.
I think this offseason for me has been more just about like healing my body and more just getting everything fine-tuned and getting ready to go for this year.
Huge show this week. Whoever thought we would get to this point, really appreciate everyone for putting up with this. Thanks again.
All right, my friends, we are back. Make sure you smash that like button. Let's get this up to 20 likes. Is that hard? 20 likes, smash that like button. Help spread the word about the USFL. This is a great place. Hey, everybody's in the chat room. What's up, Act My Age? This is the place to be for USFL info. And Stock Speed Tech says, yes, Theodore King said it was great week for my Michigan Panthers. It was, though the quarterback play, your number one quarterback and Paxton Lynch looked good in the beginning of the game until he got hurt. He was running around. Big dude. Act My Age says this past week was good. It's very good. The Birmingham has a strong team. If they finish the season with a good fan base, that's a win for next year totally. Mike G says 950,000 for Birmingham New Orleans game on Fox. Thoughts? If you could, it depends. Fox folks are looking at the ratings in the lens of comparing it to other sports things. So if hockey is getting 400,000 and some of the NBA is getting 1.2 million, and they're in that, they just want to be in that sports mix. They don't want to be at the bottom of the sports mix, but they want to be in that sports mix because some of these leagues are asking for $450,000 Major League Soccer type contract, something like along those lines. And the USFL is sitting there with like, hey, we didn't have to pay that, and we got just as good ratings, if not better. That's kind of where they want. So if they can, game on Fox. I mean, that was a Friday night game, the Birmingham one, if I'm correct, right? Was that Friday night or was that Saturday night? I forget. But or was it? I don't know. Whatever. But like for Friday night game is not going to do that great. So I think it's decent. I think that's kind of where they want to be. Let's see. Mike G says, yeah, close enough to 1 million, which is what Fox and NBC want. The others like FS1, USA, and Peacock are just icing on the cake. I agree with that. My H says 950,000. The key matchup on week 3 is pretty good. Echoing T King. There's a ton of crap being shoveled on this league at the moment, and other networks probably want to see this league fail. That's true. Benjamin said it was funny though. I'm not sure what they're talking about. Amazing. Oh, if it was a mascot, it would have been amazing. Oh, it's talking about the Blob. Yeah, the Blob. Jared says Stars are still playoff worthy. I think so too. I'm just afraid Brian Scott having some kind of injury that would make I'm a little concerned about that. Jared said Maulers are what Pittsburgh Steelers fans want. They will support them. Yeah, that's why I think they need to have that team come out there. They might. We'll see next year. I've said all along, I really think that the league needs to have at least one home game in their home markets next year. If they can get through this season and offer that next year, I think that's good. Maulers need Juju to coach, Chris says. Let's see there. Greg Crawford, replay of the Stallions versus Breakers game on FS1 at 10 p.m. Eastern. I've been checking out the replays a lot just to kind of like if I'm just chilling, I'm like, I'm just going to go put on a replay of the game because sometimes I feel like I missed some nuances there. Jared says hub model will be a long-term for USFL. I hope not. You don't want to do that forever. What they're doing right now is fine for year 1. But we don't want to do that in year 2. Mike G says USFL has lost millions of fans because of this hub. Not very smart. There's no way they can consider this a success. This is what they have to do. The XFL is going to do the hub model too. I think the XFL model is the way to go. Everybody practices in one place, and then they can play their games in their home cities. I think that will work for year 1. Because remember, the XFL will come out, and this will look better. But I think in year 2 for the USFL, I just can't see these teams jumping from this all the way to playing their home games and spending all that money on travel and insurance and all that stuff. I think they're going to do a year 2 similar. The way you can get away with it is if you have the teams play one game in their home market. Then I think you'll get that interest. Then you can go into year 3 and move those teams into home markets, or just do 2 games instead of, the 4. Somehow you can kind of do those things. But that's just my idea about that. Let's see, anybody else? Lots of things. Benjamin says the thing that may win over some colleges to allow the USFL to use their stadiums is the allowing the school students to do the medical work during games. Jared says Coinbase asks for your social security number. No thanks. Any crypto wallet will ask for your social security number. They want to know that you are an actual person. They take your driver's license, the whole deal. Any of those things. Though you could try MetaMask. MetaMask is another one. I'm not sure if they ask, but there's visual, any of the NFT stuff, there is visual confirmation that you are who you say you are. Like you can't fake in the crypto world. I think it's the same thing with stocks too. Like you can't fake being somebody. They verify exactly who you are. So, and if you're afraid that they're going to steal your social security number, Jared, your number is out there. so is all your information. If you have a phone, then I wouldn't worry about it because it's all out there anyway. That's the funny thing. People are like, I'm not going to use Facebook because they steal my information, or, you know, or they post, you know, like, oh, I'm not signing up for that because they're going to steal your info. Meanwhile, they're on Facebook. It's like, bro, it's out there. That cat has left, that whatever has left the building long ago, my friend. But that's how it works. Chris says Orlando Renegades, Invaders, and Wranglers are a must. First off, says Mike G. It's a wait and see with these leagues. That's kind of where I'm at with all this kind of stuff. All right, let's get to the social media stuff. First, let's get to some Instagram. There we go. On the Instagram, Russell the Truth Seeker said, I watched the entire game talking about the Nolans Breakers, Birmingham Stallions, your game of the week. And he said, I watched this entire game and enjoyed it. Birmingham has some really good players. Yes, they do. Scooby Wright, is a great player. I'm trying to, CJ Marbell is a good player on offense. Where's the guy that I like the best? His name escapes me. The other linebacker played in the XFL, played in the AAF. His name escapes me. What's the other linebacker? He made a big play. I had him in my opening video clip. I can't believe I forget his name. He's my favorite player. Oh, one of my favorite players from the XFL that is now in the AAF and the USFL. I can't remember his name. Chat room. Who is he? It's just driving me nuts. Who is the guy in the beginning? He's the other linebacker for the Birmingham Stallions. You guys are no help. No one knows yet. It's on the tip of my tongue. This is going to drive me nuts. I might have to just shut down the whole show just so I can figure it out. I'll look it up. How's that? I'll look it up. I should have it on the roster. He's for the Birmingham Stallions, and he played for the Houston Roughnecks, I believe. I'll just go to my site because I have it on there. USFL News Hub under teams. I'm going to look it up. All right, on to the social media stuff. While that loads up, let's go to the Facebook. Decent crowd shows up for USFL Saturday night Gamblers game. This is Pro Football Talk. I thought there was a comment there somewhere. Did somebody leave a comment? Oh, Michael says, I'm sorry, but no one can possibly say that only 17,500 people went to the first game. The stadium holds 47,000. It was packed and nearly full. There were at least 35,000 there. I guarantee it. Michael, putting it out there, saying he guarantees it. About reaches 1 million followers. Yeah, I screwed up that. I think there was a comment there that it should be 1 million. Michael is right about that. I fixed that, Michael. Thank you very much, Michael, for pointing that out for us. Let's see. Teams, Birmingham Stallions. I'm not looking at chat. Do you guys figure it out? Gates. That's right. Gates. It's going to drive me nuts. It's not Demarius Gates. It's DeMarcus Gates. DeMarcus Gates. That's my guy. Nate Holly is a good one, too. Gates and Holly are the other two. Absolutely. Benjamin Turek, totally on there. Yes. Demarius Gates. Big fan of his. Big fan of his from the USFL days and the XFL days and USFL days. All right, on to the YouTube. Star Wars Satan. Not a very nice name. But he says, Perry is the man. Love the show. Blue Dat. Okay. Trey T says, God bless forever. God loves y'all forever. Tell everyone you know who knows Jesus loves you too. Teach everyone how to see and enjoy their blessings too forever. And then Star Wars Satan says no. Star Wars Satan, quit being such a jabron. Jeez. All right. He says this all over the place. Okay. Enough of your, you said this a bunch of times throughout the whole thing. But the one part was funny. USFL Down Under says Mark Thompson is my favorite running back. I hope he excels this year and in his career. Yes, best running back in the league by far. And Matt G629 says hopefully Joey is okay. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, chat room, and you could correct me on this, I believe he was released because that's kind of what happens when guys get hurt is they get released. Is that something on there? On the Twitter, this one kind of got me a little hot and heavy. So there was this thing out there because people were talking about the ratings and making things. So Donnie Woods, at Coach Woods, he is related to someone that worked, Brian Woods' brother, basically. And he was on Twitter talking about XFL bloggers hating on the league and looking for clicks. And I've heard this before in the USFL world. I've heard this, and this kind of tweaked me, and I felt the need to step out and kind of make this known that this isn't a thing, that actually that's not true. So, and I've seen people say this, very just kind of run their mouth without the Neanderthal thinking in terms of just reacting rather than taking a logical approach and thinking about things is a very common thing in this world. And just saying that writing bad stuff all about some league somehow gets you clicks. And this business, it doesn't work like that. Google is the king. Yes, writing negative things is a business model of Fox News, who is part of this. MSNBC does the same thing. They publish stuff to piss you off, talk about stuff to piss you off, to get you to watch. That's not how I run my business, and we've never done that. So he was accusing XFL bloggers, who else is there that does both other than us, that this is what we do. We put negative things out there. Now, number one, and I've spoken to the guys on USFL News Hub, CFL News Hub, all of the XFL News Hub, like our job is not to bash the product. That's just like a cheap pop, to use a wrestling term, because there are people in the CFL media that claim they love the CFL, but then they bash it and they talk bad about it. And that they bring uncertainty to the product that they're covering, therefore turning fans off. So they think they're doing something good, but they're actually just being Neanderthal and being dumb. I'm smart, and I don't do that kind of stuff. We don't do that kind of stuff. So I said, for those like him and others who believe that writing negative articles about the USFL somehow translates into clicks, you are living in the 90s. That was a 1990s, that is old school internet. It doesn't work like that. Out of the top 25 articles from USFL News Hub over the course of the month, only one that was negative, and that was about the kickers being upset about the ball, was in the top 24 in terms of traffic to the site. So the theory that writing negative articles, trying to get clicks by being negative, is not in my business, in our business, and how it works, is not whatsoever. And why would I cover something and talk trash about it, which other people do? And Fox Sports is crappy with the Herd, and I love Shannon Sharp, but that other, Skip Bayless, where they just argue. So here's my point. And here's the deal with our brand, USFL, XFL, CFL News Hub. Sports is fun. Sports is supposed to be fun. Stop watching the news like people do, whether it's Fox News or MSNBC or Talk News Radio. Enjoy your life, because there's not much you can do, and they're just doing it to piss you off. And when you get people that are then pissed off and then want to argue on Twitter, and they want, just stop watching the news. Sports is supposed to be fun. This will always be fun. Yes. Did we write an article about Colin Kaepernick potentially being the XFL? Jay Noakes wrote that, kind of his opinion as to why he thought it would be a good idea. Cool. I'm all for it. That's it. Writing negative articles about the USFL because, I'm going to spend all this money creating a USFL News Hub site where it makes no money compared to the XFL site, and I'm just going to use it to bash the USFL so it somehow goes out of business, is completely illogical. Like Spock. Remember Spock? That is highly illogical. And why would I do that? That would be dumb. Maybe that's something other people would do, but not me. So one of these leagues is going to make it. Whether it's the XFL, the USFL, fan control football is looking strong. It's really, getting to that third year, fourth year. We just want to get through 1 year. I'm just short-terming it right now. And so we're covering the league, doing everything we can to help promote the league. We're doing a good job, and not here to bash the league, but you're going to have to be able to take some criticism, and things like attendance and ratings are something you can't go around. Coming out and saying, hey, here's the USFL's ratings compared to all the other sports during that same exact time, that's a win. You're showing people. You're going to get the dumb idiots that they're just Neanderthals and they'll just never understand it and they'll just run their mouth because they can't think. But for most of the public, the logical thinkers, and there's plenty of them out there, they'll go, oh, okay, that makes sense. Totally makes sense to me. If that's where you want to be in that middle frame. You're not paying all this money like for some of these other leagues. So that's fine. That works for me. That makes sense. My fear is, getting to year 2 and 3, the optics of the stadium being empty. Just as I talk to people about the USFL, they all know about the USFL because of me. But talking to them, they were like, the football is okay, but the stadiums are empty. And I'm like, well, it's part of the business. Like, no one wants to hear that. What you have to do in year 2, I don't think you're going to have any teams moving out and if you do, that's freaking awesome. I don't see it due to the complexity. I mean, the XFL is trying to do that. I think what you got to do for year 2 is take some of that XFL's business model and play at least one game in your hometown, and that would solve the problem temporarily. Year 3, either increase it to 2 games or increase it to all games. So J.I. Bren 2 says, so I go look up the USFL schedule because why, but games are on consistently, and the FCF wins the search game. What the USFL? I know that I'm watching now, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm sure this is attack on the USFL, but J.I. Bren 2, you're missing something, my friend. Fan Control Football paid for that ad. That says ad. That's why it's at the top of the list, my friends. So, yeah. So they put that, it's not winning the search game because they paid for it. I could put my stuff up there as well, but we rank really well for USFL schedule. And paying for click ads and what we do is not really worth it. And I've been down that path. So they didn't win the search game. They paid for that top spot, and that's smart by Fan Control Football. So if you're suggesting that somehow Fan Control Football out SEO'd the USFL, that is not the case because they paid for that ad space. Just want to point that out. James with a bunch of numbers talking about the cigarette thing. So the fact that people looked at this video and thought he was actually smoking during practice, society level of another level of gullible. I mean, I looked at it and I was like, no. But then I didn't see any smoke from it. And so I was like, definitely not. Seth Lessons wrote this article for us talking about the USFL's bigger ratings picture. The sky is not falling, but looking good. Rock Westfall 711 is talking about, I also follow the NHL. They love those ratings. And that is something that the USFL pointed out that, yes, they compared it to other leagues and they were like, our ratings are good. Kenny Brown 131 says, and considering response to week 2 figures, plenty of time to go with this. Figures for week 7 might be more indicative of where the USFL is positioned going forward. I think the ratings will go up as the season comes to an end. So it kind of comes like, it starts hot, it comes down. You had people discrediting the XFL every time because the ratings would keep going down. That was to be expected, and this is to be expected. Everybody, and USFL News Hub said it's to be expected. It's going to kind of come down as you get back into the playoffs. It will come back. You know who is that ratings also tend to travel that way? The NFL and Major League Baseball and all the other leagues. They all do the same thing. Everybody comes in hot. Season kind of goes on. They dip a little bit. Then as it starts to get to the playoffs, fans come back in. Just granted, the dip is not as low for the NFL because the games are, but in general, it comes in hot. Fantasy football, same thing. People are into fantasy football the first week or two, and then they drop because the interest wanes there. So that's what's going on with that. Pro Hoff can't something. I think one issue is the hype and promotion simply does not match the interest or product. Spring football can survive, but some are setting expectations beyond what can be expected, plus fair amount of uncertainty around impact XFL 3 will have in 2023 in terms of USFL 2. That is a good point. I mean, that's the other thing that I could totally see that being a factor in fans' leeriness and maybe potentially of the USFL. Two is that you have this XFL lingering in the background. If it wasn't there, that might have been completely different, but it is there, and that could play a factor in fans, perception of the USFL. All right, let's get into a phone call, shall we? And then we'll wrap this sucker. Oh, we got to get to a whole nother segment with my picks. All right, let's do that right after this. Stay tuned. Well, let's go into a phone call. Then we'll get in my picks and wrap this show up.
This is Philip. Hi, Mark. This is Philip. I was just thinking, what was you thinking about maybe the USFL if they decide to have maybe a hub city in Pennsylvania next year as a secondary hub? I was thinking maybe it would be a good idea because they have two teams in Pennsylvania. One, they could have, Pittsburgh have a game against like the Michigan team, and then maybe like that same week they could have the Generals play the Stars, and that way they would have possibly more attendance from three different teams like Birmingham. You could have the home games there. You could have the North Division have Pittsburgh and Philadelphia have their home games. That way, at least, it would look better on TV for two of the other games. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Appreciate the phone call. That was another option I had thought about when we were talking about the XFL's potential, what they were going to do. I thought about maybe what if you had, the Spring League played in two different locations. Could these two teams, that could be another option where maybe you have a place like Pittsburgh where, again, but I don't know how easy. I mean, there is an airport there, Pittsburgh to Birmingham. How would that look? But maybe that is something, year two, you could have each team play at a home location and then maybe, break out and you have two locations. You have one in Birmingham and one in another location. You could get some more games played there. That's a possibility. So that just the thing is with the hub is, and everybody's learning from this at the get-go. They're getting the ratings that they want. They did this league for ratings. That's why they did this league. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's year 2 and 3 of doing the same thing. I don't know if that will work. Fans will have the patience for it in year 1, but not the patience for it in year 2. All right, let's go into our final segment where we'll talk about scores and wrap things up, shall we? All right, this week's scores. How did I do this week? So I picked the Birmingham Bandits. Tampa Bay Bandits beating the Gamblers. I had that right. I had 27-26, 21-14. Birmingham, I had New Orleans Breakers doing it. Birmingham Stallions, 22-13. Got that one wrong. Pittsburgh Maulers, Michigan, I got the 24 right. The 21 from the Pittsburgh. I thought they had a little bit of offense. They had nothing in this game. Generals, I split it. I think Philadelphia Stars would have won if Brian Scott didn't get hurt, but the Generals win 24-16. So I split this past week. This week's games, Philadelphia versus Michigan. Depends if Brian Scott's playing. I still got Philadelphia 21-18. Michigan's quarterbacks did not look good. Their running game is good. The quarterbacks did not. If Brian Scott's out, this could definitely change the outcome of this game, but right now I got it 21-18. New Jersey versus Pittsburgh. Always take anybody against Pittsburgh. They're not good. 18-6. I love Madre London. They're just coaching. Offensive coordinator is not a good thing. He's got a growth mindset. Says it was his fault, but apparently I think in the last press conference he was kind of blaming players maybe or something. We'll see about that. I got 18-6. Jersey Generals take the win there. My Tampa Bay Bandits taking on the number 1 Birmingham Stallions. 24-16. Yeah, I could make the homer pick, but I chose not to. 16-24. Birmingham, I think, is going to hold on and be that 4-0 team. I think that would be very good for the league, and every game is a home game for them. Houston versus New Orleans. I think New Orleans comes bounce back 18-21. This could be close. Houston seems to be that good team, that a definitely tier 2 type, tier 3 type team. Could be a tier 2 team. We'll have to find out. But I think there could be a team to beat. They've just played some of the better teams. They'll start winning some games as we go forward. So 21-18, Philadelphia Stars over Michigan Panthers. 18-6, Generals over Pittsburgh. Tampa will lose to Birmingham 16-24, though I hope Tampa wins. I hope they win. And New Orleans, they need to win this game to stay in that tier 1 level team, but they have the defense to do it. It's going to be interesting. Their defense, again, it's Mark Thompson's running game. A running back for Houston should be interesting. Could affect your DFS picks for this week. Last week, speaking of DFS, I got screwed because Scott got hurt. He was out 84 yards and 1 touchdown. Michigan's running back got me 11 points, nothing from Alexander. Lenore Jr. from Michigan, they had no passing attack, so my Michigan picks really blew up. Pittsburgh, Gaithers did nothing, so he got me 0. Edmonds, BJ Edmonds, Tampa, he only got 6 points. And then the Breakers defense, I thought would do a lot better. They still did a block and a kick and an INT. They got me 6 points. The winner picked Jamar Smith, got 20 points. Mark Thompson, 25, though I don't know if you can pick Thompson this week. Victor Bolden Jr., he was started 71%. He had 19. Asias Mitchell did nothing. He was the star in the first week. Williams, 22 points. Ellis got 10, and then Mahler's defense. Why would you pick Mahler's defense with 3 points? This week's DFS picks, Slaughter Thompson. He's the top guy. The going up against New Orleans defense will be interesting. Kyle Slaughter, I like him. I hope, unless there's some kind of injury thing, I like him. That's a good game. Dixon for New Orleans, he's a good player. Gaither did nothing. I might pull him out and just have no Pittsburgh thing, but they were playing a decent, I don't know. I might have to switch on that one. Darius Victor had a good game. He was cheap. Victor Bolden Jr. for Birmingham, always a good play. And Breakers defense as well. I might move Gaither out of there, most likely, probably, especially because I have more money in there. Thompson is something, and Slaughter is the 2 guys to keep an eye on this week if you want to do that. So there's my picks for this week, my friends. All right. That's a wrap for this week's show. What's up, everybody in chat? Thank you for everybody in the chat for hanging out with me. If you want to be part of the show, remember to email podcast@USFL News Hub with your thoughts, record an MP3 or leave a phone on your phone. We'll play on next week's show, 888-430-7692, extension 5. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and smash that like button, my friends. Fantasy football is going well, though I need to take a look and see why it didn't open for this week's pick waiver wire. I'm going to take a look after this, my friends. All right, that's it for me, folks. God bless. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy this week's games. The schedule is out. There were some adjustments to this week's schedule and next week's schedule. We got it all on USFL News Hub. Plus, you can play fantasy football on News Hub Fantasy. There's still leagues going on right now. That's it for me, folks. God bless. And I will see you all, you know what I say, every time. Later.